create a rabbit hole buffer in your little bitty brain, 10%, and go, this is acceptable. When does it become not acceptable? Okay. And you have to compartmentalize that phone call. You have to compartmentalize the person asking you for help. And that happens more than often, especially if you're a person that people gravitate and they need input, but they're not able to wait. Okay. And that's a tough one. But I hope I answered your question. Okay. It's a rabbit hole buffer. You have to be aware, but you got to write it down. That's a huge part of success in planning. You got to write it down. Don't be up here, okay? Because it's going to waste your brain. You got to write it down.
Hello and welcome to Friday Conversations here at Action Business Furniture. We're excited to be here today with our normal crew. We got some extra visitors today and our Tidd Tuflija.
This week we're going to try something new. We're going to have Dave help us with the introductions. And I'm going to announce this hopefully multiple times. And I'm putting this responsibility on everyone in the room. Every time you think of it, mention it. Because I want to make sure everybody knows. Next week, we're going to be at Dry Fly, and we're super excited. Spencer there is just an amazing guy. A couple of us know Spencer. Those of you that don't, you're going to get to know him. He's an amazing guy. Patrick is the owner. They're both super excited about what we're doing, and they want to partner with us. So we're going to have their entire upper mezzanine area for what we do here. It's going to be killer. We're super excited about that. And next week is Halloween. And so we're actually going to be talking about Halloween with Sheila Fritz is going to be our guest. So excited to have her on, and we'll tell you more about the topic, but want to make sure nobody shows up here next week. Everybody, we're going to be at Dry Fly. So there's that big, bold. Also on that note, since we're departing Action Business Furniture, we want to once again, as always, appreciate them. They have been absolutely phenomenal hosts. Loved being here. Great guys. If you need office furniture, they are not only reasonable, they will make a deal that makes sense for everybody. So check out Action Business Furniture. Want to thank Tidd Designs, our lunch sponsor, Rob Reuter.
Yay!
Absolutely. Every week bringing the lunch for us. So thank you for that. And then Dave, can you kind of help us introduce ourselves?
Well, I was going to first mention where we're going to be. Dry Fly next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So
he understood the assignment.
Okay,
I'll
I'll see you. What?
Am I supposed to say Dry Fly?
Yeah, you can say that. Now, welcome everybody. It's got a great group. Nolan, thanks so much for coming, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Enhance the good lookingness of the group considerably. We're going to go around. We're going to just briefly interview you guys, or just ask you to tell me a little bit about you. I will cut you off. So, but we're just going to go around here. And I think we're going to start with Zane. Zane, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Zane Schwindeman. I'm with Zebra Go and or Zebra Go Zane, and we help small business owners get a little bit of their time back. We make sure that calls are getting answered, customers are getting on your schedule, so you can focus on doing why you started your business, getting work done, and not dealing with customer calls.
And why did you get into the business in the first place? What took place that made you want to devote your life to this?
Well, I wouldn't say devote my life to this, but
Seems like it sometimes, though, right?
yeah, no, and really being able to provide a great service has always been something wherever I've worked at. If you can't stand behind your product, there's no point in selling it. And I have a great team that I know provides just world-class service to customers of our customers. So
And if they wanted to inquire about your services, where do you want to send them?
yeah, check out our website at zebrago.io, or send me a message here on Facebook.
Great. Rob Reuter.
Yeah, Rob Reuter with Tidd Designs, and I take complicated things and help make them simple. I'm technology buff, and so I'm into all of the technologies that run your business. And my goal, as I said, is to take things that don't make sense and help you find your way through them.
So part of that is digital marketing as well. I mean, you're teaching at Gonzaga,
Right.
What are you teaching there?
Yeah, so I am adjunct faculty at Gonzaga, and I teach the digital marketing course where I take a framework called ACCER for attract, capture, convert, engage, and refer. and we apply our marketing program to those goals and put the right pieces to the right goal.
Fantastic. Jonathan, tell us about you.
I love real estate.
Okay, nice talking.
No, I 10 years ago, somebody told me that I should either sell insurance or real estate. And no offense to any insurance folks in the room or online, I thought that sounded really boring. But I've always loved houses and I've loved real estate and just that idea of ownership. And I was like, why didn't I ever think of this?
Yeah.
And so the longer I've been doing it, the more excited I get. And it's just been a wild journey.
Is it a good time to be involved in real estate?
It is always a good time to be involved in real estate. The principle of real estate in the United States particularly is that under all is the land. And so we all do better when we have shared ownership versus the old model of a lord owning all of the land and everybody's a serf and they just kind of, when we all take a little bit of ownership of a small piece of land, we all do better. So that idea means that it's almost like voting, which I was going to mention that.
Oh, mention it, please.
Voting is coming up.
But before you say that, where are we going to be next week?
Dry fly. Thanks, Dave.
Dry fly.
You're doing a great job.
Great. Thanks. What were you going to say?
Vote. The ballots are out. You should have your ballots. Get out and vote. And I'm not going to tell you how to vote because that defeats the purpose. You figure out what is important to you. Find out which candidates, which policies match what you want, and get out there and vote because that's how we participate in that process. But ownership of the land is an aspect of that. It's taking ownership of a small piece of something. And so if you don't own a house, talk to me. I'll help you buy one.
Let's go to your much better half next.
Yes, please.
Melissa, tell us about you.
I am Melissa Byron with Thrive Wellness, and I help people with their metabolic health, and that's a lot of different things.
How long have you been doing it?
4 years now, yeah.
How'd you get into it in the first place?
Oh, how did I get into it? I personally needed a lot of help with my health. I was very sick and a lot of inflammation in my body and with a lot of other conditions. And so I knew that I needed to change something and I needed help with that.
Yeah.
So now that's why I help others.
I used to write an article about business, but I decided to call it it's all personal.
Yeah.
Instead of it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
So I called the article It's All Personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got into it having to go through a bunch of really tough stuff first.
Yeah, for sure.
And you knew that there were probably some other people out there that could use it. So welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. Nolan,
Yes, sir.
really glad you came, man.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was nice to meet you last night at the other thing going on.
Absolutely.
So tell us about you and what you do and why you're doing it.
Well, my name is Nolan, as you guys know, and I work for a company called Pay Compass. And what we do is we give business owners peace of mind, knowing that their solutions for their business, when it comes to appointment or payment, point of sale, it's going to be something that is tailored specifically for them. You know, there's no one size fits all when it comes to your business. And so what I do is we sit down and we give them peace of mind over their integrations and how it's going to serve their business.
How long have you been doing it?
About a year.
About a year.
Yes, sir.
And you're happy doing it and you're helping people?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I've always been entrepreneurial in spirit. And so what better way to build my skill set as an entrepreneur than being immersed in the community itself?
Well, welcome to this raucous group here. We're going to move to Steve and Hicks. Steve, by the way, where are we going to meet next week?
Well, I'm going to be at Dry Fly. I don't know where you guys are going, but yeah, next week, Dry Fly, there should be a nice like podcast and group networking thing
I've
there.
heard about that place.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell us about you and what you're doing and why.
Well, my name is Steve Hicks. I run Thriving Body Holistic Fitness. And I actually am launching a brand new program November 1st, where essentially I've taken the 15 years of my coaching experience and tried to boil it down to a really easy access, affordable option that is, I think, is going to be really great. I do want to test it out though. So I'm letting the first 10 people that join in get an 85% discount, just kind of as a pre-launch discount, to help make sure I dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. If you're interested in that, that essentially gets you the same coaching past clients have paid $1,500 for, gets you that 3-month program for just $75. Just send me a message or send me an email, Steven@thrivingbody.fit. But first 10, I've already got 3, so there's still some spots available for that.
And you have a track record. You have people that have been with you for 5 years or so and held their own. They didn't yo-yo back and forth and
Close. So the launch clients I had in 2019, 5 years after working with me, not working with me for
even
5
after.
years.
Okay.
After working 5 years, 72% of them had maintained weight loss of 50 pounds or more, which is, I think, pretty incredible.
Can we get a round of applause?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks so much. Hey, Bryce.
Hey, how are you?
Tell everybody who you are and why you're.
My name is Bryce Brewer. I'm with Pinnacle Investigations. We do background checks. So basically, we distill all the dry information on the fly.
Wow.
While it's working.
Somebody chat GPT.
Yeah, no, you watch me.
See, he couldn't have done that without moving the chair back and forth.
Yeah, it's ADD right here. But no, we do background checks. We help people know who they are hiring, so that when you bring someone into your business, you make sure they're a good fit. And we don't just go off vibe. Well, I got a good vibe about this person. We go off of the facts, and so yeah, that's what we do.
All right.
Been doing it for a while.
My mommy started the company 38 years ago, and she is semi-retired.
You
and
grew up in this business.
I did. I grew up actually, she started as a private investigator and a police officer, so I grew up in the courtroom. And we saw a simple background check could often prevent a lot of these workplace violence or workplace lawsuits. And so she got into it. And so we do that for pre-employment all across the board, small mom and pops to large energy corporations. And then we do nuclear background checks. So checks for nuclear clients.
Okay.
Coming in. So.
Welcome. My name is Dave Ribble. I am with Stand Out Mastery. We coach people to improve their skills constantly in the areas of communication, connection, and collaboration. And that's all I'm going to say about me right now.
And Dave, why do you focus on standout mastery?
Well, I focus on stand-up mastery because when we're at the dry fly place next week, I can actually interact with other people who show up, and some of them would like to get some help. Some of them find themselves really nervous about going into those networking events. They don't have to do that. I spent a lot of time last night with several introverts. And that's always fun for me because introverts don't know and don't realize in many instances that they can actually control the conversation better than an extrovert.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to teach them that. So I was having a blast last night. That's the kind of stuff we get into. We go deep. We go deep with why did somebody say the thing they did and the way they said it. And we dissect it. And then we come back and practice. I always wanted to create something where you could go and practice something and screw up without the whole world knowing you did it. And I also wanted to accelerate the advancement that can happen when somebody does have the right skills. Mm-hmm. So we've accelerated that whole process and made it into Stand-Out Mastery so that twice a month we're working on stuff. And then they're coming back after a couple of weeks and telling me what happened.
And I look forward to telling you what happens next week over Zoom as one of your clients, not necessarily at Dry Fly. I'll talk to you a little bit.
Yeah, talk to me about that. The other thing is that we offer something that, thanks to the genius of Rob Reuter, we've created something that would love for everybody to test out. It's kind of giving you a taste of what Stand-Out Mastery's program is in a shorter form so you can actually take me with you on your appointments. If you go to www.theribbleeffect.com, you can play for 30 days with this thing and ask it questions, but it's all going to be answered through my book and through the other articles and through the stuff we talk about when we're doing the sessions. And it's a whole lot of fun. My wife is addicted already. So that's what that is about that. Todd, I'm going to let Jonathan start you off because you're the guest of honor today. John, take her away.
All right, Todd, welcome. Thanks for being here. And you were introduced to me by Rob. So you and I don't know each other very well, but we've interacted for the last hour or so. And humorously, we're both in industries where like there's millions of threads to pull on, millions of things going on. And so you got here, and as you got here, I got a phone call. And then as I wrapped up that phone call, you jumped onto something that you needed to do. And we were just like, but we're in the same room. And there's something about presence. And I'll even kind of call my wife up on this one. She is a presence person. Like, and we've had some disagreements on this where like, I want to be everywhere all at once. And she's like, I just want you home. I'm like, well, what are we doing? We're not doing anything. You don't need me there. And she's like, yeah, I need you there. I need your presence. I need you physically there. Not when we don't need to do stuff. We just need to be. So getting to be in the room with you while we were pulling on all of our miscellaneous threads was kind of like a neat get to know you. And I appreciate that. And I appreciated us exchanging that a little bit, but I don't know much about you. I do know that you've done car sales for a long time. And I don't want to bury the lead. I think what we're here to talk about is the thing that you said to me over our text and email conversations that really just has me curious is at 212 degrees, water boils. At 211 degrees, it's just hot water. That, like all week, I've been having conversations, I'm bringing it up and people are like, oh, and it's just the idea, especially in our business, in our personal lives, what's that 1 degree? What's the thing that takes us from just hot water to boiling water? And so I'm curious, like you've read the book. So maybe start there and tell us a little bit about that. And then we're going to just jump into this and talk about boiling water and planning and efficiency and everything else.
Well, again, thanks for having me.
Glad you're here.
The boiling water has been around. It's a book called 212 Degrees. It's very simple. It's a very easy, easy read book. And it just talks about that one more degree, that one more customer service, that one more event that you don't have to take or don't have to execute. But if you do, it's exponential on what the reward is. So customer service, your group. So I focus, and I usually give the books away. I'm retired now, but I used to give the books away at staff meetings or raw meetings, so everybody could read and get on the same page. But basically, I live by this on a daily basis. In this episode, we're talking about planning.
Yeah.
And the planning is very close to me. I've been keeping since 1984 at a glance calendar books. I still have them in a tub, but every year that kept me going. Where you start to plan, you create efficiencies, and the efficiencies create reward. Okay, so if in the morning or whenever you start thinking, people mention the shower, first cup of coffee, but you execute your plan, and once that has been accomplished, you understand the benefits of efficiency. Okay, but the two go together. And earlier the question was asked, on the percentage of success on people who do plan. My focus when I speak to people is that their focus is to accomplish as much as possible without bearing the stress of having to go 100%. It's never going to be 100%, and that's okay. You have an action item and you have a task. The tasks are different than the action items. Okay, but if you can accomplish 50% of what you set out for in the morning in execution and efficiency, you're a rock star. You have succeeded. Okay, and what's the average? It's not 50%. 50% are for the how do I say achievers. Okay, it's okay to be an achiever. Nothing wrong with being an achiever. It takes effort. Okay, but it's okay talking about planning. That's my formula.
I like that. You said something that took it a little bit of a different direction for me that I want to kind of see if this is where we're all kind of going to land. You said a rah-rah meeting. And this is something that I've been kind of encountering in a lot of different conversations. The idea of being your authentic, true self. I wake up in the morning, I don't want to do anything. Versus doing habits, doing things that will turn me into the thing that I want to be. And so I'm curious kind of around the room, like what are we've thrown out a lot of threads, and like let it. I'm sure it's resonating. I'm seeing a couple like a lot of processing, but maybe pull on that thread a little bit. What are we feeling in the room?
I have something. I'm just thinking about, you said 50%, right?
Mhm.
If you do 50% of everything that you're setting out to accomplish for the day, you're a rock star. In baseball, you bat 300, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Mm,
So the 50%, I mean, it'd be like batting 500.
for sure.
That's a big deal.
That's good. Nolan, you're about to say something?
Yeah, I think that ties in really well with the compound effect, which is something that I really believe in.
Yeah.
They say that success is a daily thing, right? And the more disciplined you can be within your daily habits, the more success you're going to have long term. And I just wanted to put that out there for people. If people haven't read that book as well, it's a phenomenal book. And I've definitely seen it help my life and a lot of people that I've been around who've started to run a more structured program, and started their day with things that they love to do, right? So when they wake up early, they're excited to start the day and they're excited to attack the process. And a lot of times they might not hit that 100%, but like you said, when they do hit that 50%, that's going to compound to much, much more over time, even if they don't feel like they got everything done that day.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, that's great feedback. You have to start with understanding that it can be accomplished. And it's not difficult. It just requires an applied, I call it applied science, but an applied application that I've set out a goal, I've planned, I'm going to execute it, and it happens really easy.
Yeah.
So how do you, or do you have any preferred techniques for doing that? Because I will say that I have a big list and it's been pretty much the stable list for years. And so there's always that question of distraction. What happens when, you had a plan, you had your list, you were ready to go to work on it, and then the phone rang, and suddenly all of that, goes because of a priority change. So how do you incorporate, or what's your methodology of shifting when you realize, okay, this was my list, but this has to become my priority?
So as you were saying, the batting of the 300 gets you into Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And my calculation was 50%. If you know or recognize that the task and action items that you've written down for the day, because you're going to write them down, and that's the beginning of it, writing them down. Okay, you can put them in your tablet, put them wherever, but they have to come out of the brain onto some kind of medium. And so starting there, however, there is going to be a rabbit hole in your life. It's in all of our lives. It happens every day. It sometimes happens more frequently than other days, but you have to start managing those rabbit holes. Okay. And there was a time that I had a staff assistant, and he would raise up his hand when he knew I was diving into the rabbit hole. He'd raise up his hand like this, and I'd go, okay, stay focused. So the phone call, which is a huge distraction, it totally. And I was
Hilarious.
I was at church the other day, speaking on the phone, and they now have a sergeant of arms that says to everybody when they walk in or when they have conversation, phone off. Not in a mean way, but it's a respectful, it's time to worship. But anyway, the rabbit hole buffer. Create a rabbit hole buffer in your little bitty brain, 10%, and go, this is acceptable. When does it become not acceptable? Okay. And you have to compartmentalize that phone call. You have to compartmentalize the person asking you for help. And that happens more than often, especially if you're a person that people gravitate and they need input, but they're not able to wait. Okay. And that's a tough one, but I hope I answered your question. Okay. It's a rabbit hole buffer. You have to be aware, but you got to write it down. That's a huge part of success in planning. You gotta write it down. Don't be up here, okay, because it's gonna waste your brain. Gotta write it down.
Todd, I had a question for you. You're talking about that rabbit hole buffer, your assistant that would raise their hand. If you exist in an organization that has a leader who has a tendency to go down rabbit holes or go into off the map, and you're like, but we need this answer. What are some tools that you can give those that are underneath that leadership to help them do what only they can do, which is lead us?
So there's multiple layers to this, okay? The question back to you, don't have to answer it.
I will.
It's the frequency. Okay, the frequency is a big tell. Okay, so to rectify or to change behavior, because it is behavior, okay, because it's a choice up here, originates up here. So the challenge of the action item to handle that is communication, but very plain communication or very direct communication, and use examples. I always said that I never fire someone, they fire themselves. Okay. And the communication with people who are part of the team is very important, that they understand team, because some people don't understand team, they understand self. Okay. But when you come to work, or you come to work like right now, we're a team.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to articulate to them, because the rabbit hole that they're going down doesn't benefit the team. So let's work on that. And what does that cause? What's the effect to the team? I had retail businesses in California, and I used to say to every staff member, if 0.001% you're not going to be on the team the next day, I don't care what time it is, you got to let us know. You got to talk to us. Because you're part of that team. And when 8 o'clock rolls around, or whatever time you start, and you're not there, we have to make accommodations. We can do it 2 ways. We can be proactive or reactive. And people go, oh, I never thought of that. So I hope I answered your question.
I got one. So going back to the 50%, I think something that might help make that a little bit more feasible is, in your language, you keep talking about action items and tasks. One, what do you consider the difference? And two, that 50%, is it for the total list, or is it specifically action items?
Wow. Great questions.
He always does that.
That's fantastic.
I learned communications from that guy.
We need you on the team. So, action item must happen. It's an action item, must happen. Task, it's going to happen. It's a task. It's not a wish list, because that's a rabbit hole. It's a task, and that's okay. The 50%, what's the dynamic of the 50%? I worked for a brokerage house for 4 years. I was the assistant to the CEO. Okay. And if he wasn't in the brokerage house, if he wasn't personally making 35 grand a day, not a very nice person. Okay. And I lived with him for 4 years, worked with them for 4 years. It was intense. His big thing is keeping record. Okay. At the 50%, at the end of the day, you basically have to take what is action items, what is tasks that weren't completed, and move on.
The next day?
Move them to the next day. Okay. And write them differently than the new task. Visually, you see those. Okay. So you give them a little bit more attention, because the mind reacts. The italicized versus just regular, regular writing. So the 50% could be 20%. Okay. Unlikely. Just, I don't want to get your hopes up, but transfer. You got to have a document, journal. You got to have something. Write them down in your calendar book. Where did I answer your question?
Yeah, especially on the action versus the.
You only get one question.
Yeah, no, especially the action item and the tasks. But the list as a whole, the 50%, did it relate to the whole list, or specifically the action item?
No, to the whole list.
Okay.
To the whole list. It would be a disparate. Is that a word? It would be disservice, it would be more harmful if you didn't include everything as a whole and see it as a whole. There's segregation that we've created because of action versus task, but they do flow together. They do have organic beliefs, but you can't separate them. That your brain would just fly off. You'd lose sleep.
Anybody ever have a Franklin planner?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had at a glance. At a glance. So I had a Franklin, which was okay, young. And I migrated to a little at a glance, which I received from, not received, but I learned from the assistant position that I was in for 4 years. I mean, you're talking intense. We had Rolodexes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know how many on the table. He had thousands of customers. I don't remember what the number was, but at the end of the day, I was responsible for closing up the Rolodexes and putting them into vault, because we had a vault because he didn't want the Rolodexes to burn up.
Wow.
Because those were his clients. Before computers, before a database.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay? But yeah, it's a very, very interesting. But I don't know how.
Anybody remember the Franklin Covey store that used to be here in Spokane? You used to be able to actually go in and buy Franklin Covey stuff directly from them.
Wow.
So,
My wife and I did that, and we rushed home and immediately loaded 25 things in there that we were going to accomplish the next day.
Go to the Franklin Covey store.
And then it started. So you used to at a glance instead.
Well, I migrated because it was so big. It was pretty big. It was intense. And so he used at a glance, which was a calendar book, black typically. I sometimes do different colors, but without that, my life was toast.
But you moved 2 or 3 things, or however many, to the next day every night. Yeah.
Every night you got to call it. You got to call the day, call the night, be done. But you can't call it until you've migrated your task and action items.
You gotta call it a day and be done. How does one stop the day when they're self-employed?
Yeah.
It's a discipline.
Mhm.
It is. I was self-employed, I don't know, for a long time. Okay. I'm 400 years old. It's what it feels like. Retail, in the retail business, and gosh, it just comes and especially with families, especially with significance, you have to say for that to be respectful to them. Now, here's something that's very interesting. Rabbit hole. Get that. So for years and years, 300 years, not 400 years, but when I think someone is going to be a good fit working with me, not for me, but with me, that's a big thing. The assistant has to know that they work with you, not for you. That's huge. Is that I say, I can interview you, I can get the vibe, I can see your talents, I've referenced you, I've background checked you. I need to speak with or have an interview with your significant, your other 50%.
Wow.
Because I'm only hiring 50%.
Wow.
What happens with that is there's going to be times that you're working on a task and it's going to require a special augmentation to your life. And you're going to have to make that call. And the person's going to say, great, here we go again. Okay. So that person needs to interview me and believe in me. And it's okay if they don't believe in me, because then we haven't established, hey, it's not going to work out. Not 90 days down the road going, whoo, we made a mistake. Okay. So there's a gentleman that I was introduced through this team, and Matthew Heim.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, you can come, I believe you're going to be a good fit. However, I need your wife to come interview me. And we met at the White House. And his wife was a little nervous. She said, what am I doing here? And I explained that I can't just hire the 50%. I need 100%. You're going to get 100% out of me. That's fair. But anyway, rabbit hole.
I like that.
That's a good rabbit hole. And that's
That's
part of
really
what
good.
we're doing here. Like, we want to go down some of the rabbit holes, the stuff that you don't normally get to talk about as business owners. I particularly like, and I want to kind of maybe even just sit on it for a minute, because I just sent Melissa a video. I tried to pull it up to see if I could share it. I'm not going to be able to share it. I can describe it pretty well. So how many of you have seen the movie 300?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's the scene in 300 where Leonidas kicks the guy. He says, "This is Sparta," and he kicks the guy. And the video clip, I found it on social media, and I sent it to Melissa. Right before he does that, he glances back at his wife,
Oh,
and she gives just the little nod.
Mhm.
And I sent it to her because that's what Melissa is for me, and what I'm loving about the direction we're going with this
signs off
topic.
on the murders.
Yeah.
It's an accomplice.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification. We don't murder people in our household.
We don't know he died.
This is movie magic. There was
still be falling. We don't
that might be worse.
Yeah.
But there are these moments, and there's an accumulation of them in a relationship where you're doing something, you're leading, you're taking the charge on something that you're in uncharted water. And to be able to glance back at her, and that's usually with us, we're sitting next to each other, and it's just a glance. It's just a glance. But I think that, and I understand that we're talking to an audience that some are currently in relationships, some are single, and so I don't want to suggest that somebody that is single can't find that in a partner or other.
Yeah.
But I think that one, in that spousal romantic way, there is something really powerful. And two, whether you have that or not, finding business partners that you can have that alignment where it's like, and I kind of like looking around the room at some, I don't know you very well yet, but like some of the guys in the room, and well, Melissa's already been spoken about, like I have that where it's like, I have a sense, and like, we're already reading the room, and it's just a glance, and it's like, yep, okay. And that when you get to that level of relationship is powerful. And I know that's not planning. That's a different thing.
Well, it's complete.
Mm.
It's complete.
Ooh, say more.
Yeah. Well, it's just even friendships. Okay. There's a level when I say, and you got to call it the end of the day. Okay. With relationships and friendships, and I'm not an expert. Not even close. Not even close. But like calling it a day, you have to say this person adds value. This person, and I add value. It's a reciprocal. But he and I, we've known each other in a social element for probably a couple of years now that we've spoken. But it only recently had we connected. And one of the times that we had met, I said to him, I don't know if you recall this, but I said, I'm going to exploit you on a sounding board.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to reach out to you. Okay. And I'm going to use your services. I'm going to use your wisdom, your background. Okay. On a sounding. So that's so important in your life. So for those entrepreneurs or business owners or want to be business owners, it's okay to have a network of friends, a network of people that you rely on, trust. I think if I was a consultant on startups, I'd say you have to get a network of people that you can exploit. And people go, exploit? What? No, that's what you're doing because you exploit each other, but in a very healthy way.
Man, Dr. Todd, the relationship expert.
Well, if you were to ask me, Rado, is communication.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. You can't beat that.
Well, and you said something there that I want to like emphasize and highlight for us in the room, but for anybody that's watching this. I think that there is especially here in America, this go it yourself, pull yourself up by your bootstraps,
Rugged
individual, and there's a lot of past. Everybody has stuff in their past where betrayals have happened and all kinds of things, to where I have a lot of conversations with people that have an idea but they want to do it themselves. And they're very afraid to bring other participants in. And I think that, I don't love the word exploit. I get what you're,
I would use leverage.
leverage.
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's, you're absolutely spot on. Like if you try to do it yourself, you're not gonna get there.
Yeah, you learn over the years that how do I become efficient? Well, you can't do it on your own. There's absolutely no way you can do it on your own because it's not meant for you to do it on your own.
Right.
You have a network, you have people that have been put in your life to resource. Okay,
Yeah.
don't have to exploit them, resource. And I've used exploit for 20 years and people are they're very standoff about it many times at first. It's probably a 50-50, but they think about it for a while, and the more I talk to them, they go, oh, you are an exploiter. But it's to their advantage or to everyone's wealth. Okay. So
Todd, you talked about the idea of team, and you've used people you work with, a network, friends, spouses, partners, whatever. You have your own gifts and talents. I don't know what they are yet. But as you look around of a group of people you're going to bring around you, including spouses, friends, partners, business partner, what are some specific skill sets you're looking for? My example to kind of spur it on is I'm an extrovert. I need introverts around me to balance me out. I'm a talker and a think laterer. I need people to think first and talk later. So maybe specifically for you, but for all of us, what type of team members do we need to look for so that we can bolster and exploit them and they can exploit us?
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's the compliment. Okay, what type of compliment can I bring into my little hub? Starting with they need to have good communication. Not all the time. Okay, they can be silent most of the time, but when you need them, they step up and they have communication, articulation. That's what I call it, articulation. Because you can have communication, but might not understand it. But that happens. That happens. So it's articulation. Okay, and understanding, and especially business owners, they compartmentalize themselves and their thought processes. You have to understand that if you have a subordinate or someone that you're bringing on the team to have contribution, you yourself need to know what that contribution is and have a clean understanding. But then question, how do you articulate that to the person you're bringing on the team? Okay, so it might take a while, but you gotta work through it. But it starts with communication. Okay, and it goes from there. Back to the hiring or working with, I do a shadow 2-day shadow where they come in and work with the other team members. Okay, you give them a task. The first day it's just get to know the environment, acclimate yourself to the environment. The second day is you give them a half-day task, okay, or an action item. I don't bring an action item into because I want to see. I don't want to flip out.
Right. Yeah.
Give them a task and make it a half-day task. Everybody who your network says, yeah, this is going to work for half days. Let's see how they perform. What's happening there is you're creating expectations. You're creating a bar of those expectations, but you're getting a clear picture. Like you say, you don't know me yet. Some people take an hour to know. Some people take 2 days to know, but you'll know in 2 days versus 90 days. Oh, you're on a probationary period for 90 days. Oh, we made a mistake. Okay. Almost, when I say almost, at least 90% of the time for the staff members team members that I brought on, I was 90% successful with that 2 day.
Okay.
And you compensate them a minimum wage. And they're okay with that because they're in there, they might come to you at the end of the day and go, this is not a fit. Not a fit. Gotta go. Bye-bye.
Right.
You know, that happens a lot, but that's okay. That's okay.
Very cool.
It's kind of common too that there's two statistics that I'll bring up. One is that we know that 50% or so of those businesses that start up aren't going to make it in a 5-year period. We also know that there are college counselors that are telling students coming out of college, don't stay in one place more than 2.5, 3 years tops if you want to get to any money later on. So you're a business owner not wanting to pay any more than you have to find out if there's a fit. At the same time, they might have one eye on the door because they are already plotting their next move, and you know that's going on. And they know that you're in a situation where you're not trying to pay them any more than you have to while you're trying to fit. How do you balance all of that out to find good people and keep them?
So for me, it comes down to talent. And I use that word regularly when I'm talking to anybody that wants to join my team, is we need to know your talent because we're going to exploit you. Okay. It's a cliche, like it happens, but it comes down to talent. Now, sure, they have a talent. Do they know their talent? That's huge, because you think they have a talent and they display it in whatever period of time that you're observing, but do they know their talent? Now, you, as the person who makes a decision to change their life, has to explore that in a 24-hour. It can be 4 days, but it's got to be a shadow time where they come in and you have, again, task for them to do. But they have talent. What is their talent? Because a lot of people don't know what their talent is.
Is that also saying strength?
Saying strength?
Talent, strength.
Well, it depends on how they use their talent.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That's very powerful, as it should be, because you can't have a talent. Just like when you talk, you have to articulate.
Yeah.
When you do something, you execute. Okay. You have to execute in a manner of talent that you understand. So it's crazy, but just like planning, once you gotta write it down, then it just falls into place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I like that.
I like what you've been saying too. It keeps kind of kicking back in my mind, and it's something that we've talked about in Friday conversations before. But the clarity is kindness, and you keep talking about. You said the word clear at one point, but yeah, having these expectations, being clear, communicating clearly, all of it. If you can provide that, and I think for ourselves, if we're keeping our task and being very clear with what we're trying to do, what our goals are, what's a rabbit hole or not. All of that. But yeah, being clear, being intentional, and then exhibiting that for employees and holding them to that expectation of, hey, be clear with what you're doing. Be clear with your expectations for yourself, for your day, your expectations of me. It just helps the whole system, and taking it out from business, do that with our business partners, our spouses, our kids.
Yeah.
Did you take out the garbage like I asked you? All of those things. So I love that. Like just being clear, being intentional, and also knowing that just because it's on the task list doesn't mean I have to do all of this right this moment.
Very well said. Yeah. And having your team reflect that.
Yeah.
And different size teams require different attention, but you got to communicate. You got to have a full, clear understanding of what everyone's expectation is. So there's one thing I've done in the past, especially in retail stores, is the meetings we'd have the notes be initialized by everybody, that this is what we discussed. So a week, a month, a year, we reiterate within a year, but I didn't know that. Is this your signature? Your initial? Yeah, that is. How is that possible? Well, I forgot. How's that possible? It's this application has not just you, it has everybody at the meeting. So don't forget this. This is very important. Okay. Wow. So
that's really, there's like a whole universe of rabbit holes we can go on that one. I call them threads. Little threads that we can pull. But it's very interesting, and a lot of the topics that we've had at these conversations, from politics to leadership to like somebody gets into a role, they have a vision, they have a thing, and everybody's in, like all in. And all of a sudden, now that like, let's use politics, like the elected official got elected, all of a sudden the communication drops off. And there's this sense, I think, and I'm exploring this in real time right now. Like, I'm just like, whoa, wait a second. There's this sense that, and we talked about it this morning, that you know what I'm thinking, that you can read my mind, that the vision that I have for this, for the company, for the city, for the country, whatever, that you know what my vision is. And you don't until I communicate it. That's where that clarity is kind of, there's an interesting tension of that. Like, I know where I see it, I get it, but do you, and that is where that, like, hey, yeah, it's right here. You signed it, you agreed to it, but it wasn't important to you. It wasn't your thing, and I'm not consistently communicating it. The other thing I thought of when you were talking is storytelling is far and away like the best. Like, if you tell the story of what we're accomplishing, like even with the Friday conversations, when we tell the story of like, oh, somebody tuned in and had this happen, or we had somebody that was like, this is like therapy. I don't need to go to my therapist anymore. Like those, when we tell the story of what we're doing, all of a sudden everybody's aligned with an idea, a concept, not something on paper. So there's an interesting tension where we do have to capture documents, and this is policy. This is what the expectations are. Without that, we've got nothing. But without consistently bringing people into the boardroom and telling the story, the plot gets lost.
Right. I keep thinking about something, Todd, you were talking about after that period of time, and people will know if they're a fit or not. And I keep thinking back to the story I have of that experience as a training manager back in the 90s. I was responsible for the product. We were teaching people how to use computers. And so my job was to evaluate the talent and figure out who should we be putting in front of the customer. And there was one, hiring batch I went through, and there was a young guy fresh out of college, had all the skills, but there was something that I always told all my instructors. I said, I am looking for a specific talent, and that is the ability to communicate, and engage people. Because I can teach you computers, I can teach you technology, I can teach you the courses and how to be a teacher. But the one thing I can't do is teach you how to connect with people. You either have developed that or you don't.
Or you
And
sign up with Dave.
I was gonna say, Dave.
I didn't know Dave. Yeah.
Do that at Dryfly next week.
So there was this one gentleman that I hired, and we went through the whole process. One-on-one, he was great. Meeting him, talking to him, had no qualms about this guy. And so we went through our training program, got him ready for his first course, and things. Got him into the classroom and launched him. And at first break, I had AEs, account executives, salespeople on my door going, what are you doing about X? And I'm going, what? I don't know what's going on. What's going on? Well, my client just came out and says he is terrible.
Oh my God.
He is horrible and things. And I was going, oh, great. And then lunch came along. And it's like, I didn't have anyone to sub in. So I just, it was like, okay, we whiffed on this one, but we've got to get through and things. And noon, it was the same thing. Afternoon, it was the same thing. They were just, I don't know what you're going to do, but you've got to do something about this. And I was going, okay, got to have the conversation. And I remember walking into the room just because I'm that introvert who doesn't like conflict and things like this, so I am not the one to go in and say, you're fired. And I knocked on the door, walked in, and he looked at me and he says, "This isn't gonna work." And I said, "I'm so glad you came to that same conclusion." Because that's what I was here for, saying this isn't gonna work for us either. And we parted on good terms because he recognized that, in as much as he was prepared, as much as he knew the material, there was that gap he couldn't cross. And that was maybe, to bring this back around in the time we have, that was the 1% difference between being able to deliver and having to say, I gotta try something else.
Not a good fit.
No.
I want to pick up that last thread that
This
Rob
might,
just
this
dropped
might be
in.
the last thought, so
It
make it
might
a good
be.
one. We're almost done.
Rob just brought back to the 1 degree. I know early in your introduction, you said based on the book 212, and you try to live your life around that idea, that concept. I'm really curious in what ways that shows up for you.
Ooh. Well, on a daily basis is being on time.
Ooh.
Being on time. That's rough. That's difficult for us. I mean, it's more difficult than you realize because you have developed that norm. Okay, so being on time, I recognize that degree, being on time, because that leads to so many more successes. Back to the communication. Last week, I wanted to stop by here just to get a visual and get a vibe feeling, if you will.
Yeah.
That word. and I knew I wasn't going to make it, but I texted him at least an hour before. I could have been here, and I said, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Things have blown up. Triage Monday is what I refer to on Mondays, because as a business owner, entrepreneur, Mondays, it hits the fan. So I call them Triage Monday, and anybody that works with me, knows me, or associates with me knows, be careful. Don't call me if not required on Monday, because everybody Triage Monday. So I coined that. I want to plug my website, which is LOMP, lots of moving parts. We've spoken about efficiencies here. So the website was patented. I created a patent a few years back, and it basically takes a buyer's wants, a buyer's instructions. You post it on your account. The account becomes dynamic and crawls on your behalf. You don't have to be in front of the computer. It goes right to the seller, matches their inventory, tells the seller, hey, you got a buyer. Would you like that 50%? And because it starts at 50% match, would you like that 50% close ratio? So, well, LOMP.ai.
Just put that into the chat so anybody that wants to can just click on it.
It's a beta site as we speak. We expect to launch, according to IBM, who's doing the AI component, on the 19th of January. It goes live.
Okay.
What kind of things do you put in interest to buy on that site?
What do you want to buy?
I want to buy a new car.
You put in a car and it searches that specific instruction that you're looking for, that year, that car, that color, all that, and it knocks on a seller's website, like a car dealership, and says, hey, you got a 50% match. Now, there is a challenge, and the challenge is like Auto Trader. Auto Trader doesn't do that for you at all. They just say, hey, they lead generate and take what you're, and then spit it out to everybody. Well, this one hits one seller at a time. And if you don't have a transaction with a certain amount of time that the buyer has stipulated, it goes on to the next one. Okay. Up to 15. And if it can't accomplish what it's gonna hit 50% to 100% within 15 matches. Wow. So it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's patented. So it's 16 claims.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are wrapping things up. So thank you everybody for being here. Once again, we will be at DryFly next week. So don't come to Action Business Furniture. Tell your friends. We will be there at DryFly.
Unless you need furniture, then come to Action Business.
Come to Action Business Furniture for all your business furniture needs. Come to DryFly for what they offer, as well as for a good conversation next Friday. Same time, different place. And Todd, thank you. That was awesome. Really appreciated all of the insights. There's a million different threads that you and I need to get together and keep this conversation going, but we'd love to have you anytime.
Thanks.